Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today we're going to repot my 5 Phalaenopsis mini mark. I've had these 5 mini marks since they were near blooming size. And they have bloomed a few times already, I think 3 to 4 years already, and each time they do better and better. But I really needed to repot them because, as you can see in the video, they have lots of aerial roots, which is great. But that also tells me that, more roots, if I could get them into the media, they would all have more roots to take up nutrients and moisture. So I really needed to do that. But another big reason really is, as they're put side by side, placed side by side on the rack, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking. As much as I love the orchid roots, seeing the orchid roots, as much as I love what we so-called the root porn, I really want to get rid of the feeling of, potentially breaking aerial roots, because I really just don't want to feel afraid that I will break the aerial roots when I move them around or when I water them, when I handle them. And that's what happens when you have these orchids with really, really nice aerial roots. The flip side of that is they take up a lot more space. So hence the repot. And here, these are the small containers that I have decided to use. The 2 here, these are recycle cups from grocery store orchids. I love how they have ventilation holes on the sides already, so I can just use them. And it just turned out that I have 3 smaller mini marks that will be perfect for these small containers. So the first one here, you can see it has really good roots inside the media. It's just that it has more aerial roots that I would very much like to put into the media as well. So the first thing I do is always take it under a faucet and just rinse it with water. And that's also an opportunity for me to clean the leaves a little bit. And I didn't have to trim off anything pretty much, just maybe a little tiny, like 1.5 inch dead tissue. That was it. So I used my hand to kind of form the already moist and wet root into almost like a bulb. And I usually just do clockwise and circle it around, and then eventually just push them into the container. It's very, very easy to do. Some people may find it daunting because you don't want to break orchid roots in the process of the repot, but I can assure you, if you give it enough time so that it's wet enough, even if you break a little bit, it's not going to be too bad. You just have to make sure you leave it for a couple of days dry, don't water it, so that it has enough time to callus over. And after that, you can continue with regular care, regular watering routine as normal. And with these 3 orchids, in fact, all 5 of them, because their roots are healthy, there wasn't any pest issue, so you don't always have to spray them down with hydrogen peroxide or alcohol. Some people always make a point to always do that, which is no problem at all. But for these 5, I actually chose not to do them because I think at that time I happened to ran out of both hydrogen peroxide and alcohol, so I didn't do them. And I can tell you, toward the end, you will see their progress. And they still did absolutely okay without alcohol and hydrogen peroxide spray. And for this orchid, you can see here, I went ahead and put some bigger pebbles in the middle. It just saves me time later on, because sometimes once the roots are in the container and you want to push bigger pebbles into the middle, it's a little hard. So it's better just to kind of put them in first, and then you worry about filling in with smaller pebbles. That's kind of a trick I do to save myself time and headaches. So this is what they look like after the repot. The container they're in are smaller, so I tend to use other taller cups to prop them up and then put them into this blue container, outer cup, just so that they're all kind of even on the same height, so they will receive the same amount of light and all that, so I don't have to worry about taller plants blocking light source from these younger plants. And you can see there is some water on the leaf. Don't worry about these if you have very good ventilation. And what I do is I usually turn on the ceiling fan or have another portable fan nearby just so that I can increase the air circulation. And usually within 30 minutes, an hour, those moisture will be completely gone. The moisture on the leaves, that is. And there was a root after the repot that started to grow really fast, like what you see here. So what I have done is I just remove some pebbles and then push it into the media so that it will continue to grow downwards. And there's a phrase, and I'm going to just do a direct translation. It's called root channeling, and that is essentially train the roots and create a pathway for it to grow into the media. And this is a very common practice among orchid hobbyists, so that way they're not just growing freely, you're actually training the roots so that it grows into the media, so that that particular orchid would have more roots to take up water and nutrients. And this is just a clip that I took after I gave them water. This might have been a week or two after the repot. Lots of new root tips growing, so they're all still continue to grow, and they're adapting to the new containers and just new amount of media very, very nicely. You can talk about a repot without talking about or taking seasonal factors into consideration, and that is spring and summertime usually is the best time for you to repot orchids because they usually are exhibiting active growth. Of course, autumn is still okay. Winter time is only if you have to do quote-unquote an emergency repot. Maybe it's the roots having issues rotting away, or you have pest issues. Then in winter time you have to do what you have to do. But if you can help it, definitely try to do it in spring, summer, or even autumn. So here we have two bigger Phalaenopsis orchids. You can see right off the bat they have a lot bigger root system. So what I have done is I just went ahead and cleaned them up, put the roots inside the container I want them to be in, and then gradually fill in the pebbles. And the pebble ratio is usually 1:1. I don't do a very precise measuring. It's really just eyeball. At some point in your orchid journey, you know your orchid enough and you know how to do certain things enough that you can pretty much eyeball it. So, and that's what I have done here. You just kind of wing it because you know how things will work for certain orchids. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video.